Welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Casey Porter here, joined by Coach Barakoff on a beautiful Wednesday evening. And I say it's beautiful, Coach, because the Dodgers have won 5 in a row, and the exciting part of it is, we were talking last night in the Oklahoma City press box, the myriad of different ways that they've had to figure out how to win. That's the mark of a good team, is whenever you can find different ways to win. And the Dodgers have done that.
Yeah, and we're doing it against the Giants, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just, if we could just keep burying them out of this race, that would make me really happy. But, we're doing it in a bunch of different ways with a lot of different guys, and it's been great. But it's been nice to see that stable group of guys kind of leading the charge right now, and these other guys are following Lux, and, it's great to see. Great to see.
Are you on the Lux train yet, or is this one of those deals you're still in wait and see, or where are you at on that deal?
Man, listen, I've been with Gavin Lux since day one. I take a beating over this guy. I've been a big fan of Lux. I think you could go back on my Twitter feed or X feed, and you'll see I've all in on Gavin Lux. So I'm really excited to see this.
I put the video out last night. It was funny because we retweeted each other, kind of being funny there on Twitter. That was a lot of fun. But Brusdar Graterol, got to see him in person last night, Coach. You did the pitch clock on him, so you doing the pitch clock, you really get the feel for how the pitchers are working, the pace at which they're working. You're paying attention to the style of pitching they're throwing and that kind of deal. So you really studied Brusdar Graterol last night. Tell me what you think.
Well, the first thing I noticed was that ball jumps, like it gets to the glove really fast compared to other guys. And he looked really good last night. Like, he looked confident. One of the things that I noticed that I could tell he's ready is that play to first base, and he ran over to cover. And, you could tell he's a Major League Baseball player. He was there super quick. But no, his pitching looked good. He had zip on that ball. I think, what did he top out at, 97.5? I think we were talking about in the press box.
97.5,
But, his ball just jumps. That's the thing I noticed. I think it was, a 10-pitch inning, 7 for strikes or something along those lines. But it was awesome to see the bazooka back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the Dodgers activated Tyler Glasnow, signed and activated infielder Nick Ahmed. So tell me what you think about Nick Ahmed, Coach. Do you have any thoughts or feelings on that?
Well, he's starting tonight. I did see that before we jumped on air here. It's funny. I brought his name up to somebody, and I said, I hope we don't ever have Nick Ahmed in our lineup. He's a proven guy. I hate to see that Rojas is out. Hopefully it's just a 10-day quick stint. And, but I think all that's going to get overshadowed by the fact that Glasnow's throwing tonight. I think everybody's excited about this. And I think we DFA'd somebody also, correct?
Yeah, I've been out of pocket all day long, and I'm actually searching for that. So we'll get that. If you have that, put that in the chat right now, and we'll get a conversation going. But interesting that his brother, I think his brother's name was Mike Ahmed. He came through the Dodgers system about 3 or 4 years ago, shortstop player. So good player. I know Jay on our YouTube page, him and I went back and forth. He mentioned that he thought the Dodgers would go try to get a league average veteran-type infielder that could play third base, second base, you name it. And he was absolutely right. It didn't take the Dodgers long to do that. And I think this is an attempt to, the first attempt at the Max Muncy deal. I think that's what you're looking at here. Is that 210 foil, you think?
We talked about this privately last night about Muncy and this injury, and it's not looking good. We don't have all the exact details of what's going on, but this has been a long time for an oblique injury. You must really have strained that thing really well if this is what we're doing. And I think you're right. I think this is the first piece of what we might see. And Ahmed he's a veteran. He's played, he has a lot of major league at bats. And correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say he was a Gold Glove winner one year, correct? I could be wrong on that, but I need somebody to fact check me. But he's a proven middle infielder. That is for sure.
Won the Gold Glove twice, Coach.
There you go.
18 and 19. So there you go. Yep. It's a guy that. So I mentioned this. Here's the problem you have with Muncy. He's an average to maybe below average third baseman from the defensive perspective. So if the oblique's not perfect and he comes back and that oblique is bothering him, but yet he can still play, but he's not giving you offense, Now, if he's not giving you offense and he's playing below average defense, you're better off throwing out there somebody like a Nick Ahmed, who at the very least you're going to get half the game from him. And so from that aspect, I think that makes total sense if you're the Dodgers.
Yeah, Ricky Vanasco. They DFA'd Ricky Vanasco to make room for the 40-man. Yes, makes sense. Ahmed is not a guy that is not going to cause you any issues in the middle infield defensively. So I think it's a defensive move, let's say. And you take everything is gravy if he hits at all. And another fact check, I don't think he's hit at all last couple of years. I think he's struggled, and I think he's struggled with injuries. So, but I'll take the defense. If that's the route we're going, I'd rather have defense in the middle infield.
Yeah, Nick Ahmed, just searching this right here, Coach, looking at his just kind of underlying metrics. WRC plus this year of 68. Last year it was 51. Yep. He was close to league average in 2022. The closest he's ever been was 2020, the shortened season. He's been this year so far, he's been a 0.4 WAR. Last year, he's 0.1. 2022, 0.4. So, man, this is absolutely a defensive move. I mean, like you said, this is, and then also another thing about it is, we've said this many times, Coach, and I know you've said this 100 different times, that the utility role, being able to play just occasionally for Miguel Rojas, that's really the only way he's going to be able to thrive and be the best version of Miguel Rojas. So I think Nick Ahmed allows you to do that. Now, it's interesting that they're also going to keep Kevin Biggio. It's interesting that they're also going to keep Kike. You would have thought the position player for a pitcher, that means if you're going to add a pitcher, then you're going to have to DFA a position player to keep it 13 and 13 the next move. It's getting crazy. But you would have thought that move would have been Kevin Biggio. That would have made the most sense.
Yeah, that's where my mind was going. But it took me by surprise seeing Ahmed being put on the roster and then put right into the starting lineup. But it's interesting because Lux is sitting. Kike is fifth in average of hardest hit balls for the Dodgers right now. I saw that on this morning. Kike's coming alive. Lux is starting to be what we thought he was. Rojas was starting to play well. So yeah, it's all interesting moves. It's doing the Oklahoma City pitch clock, the pitching staff. There's guys it's everything is so jumbled and guys are moving up and down. And I think Knack just got sent back down. It's crazy right now. So there's got to be some type of move coming, right, Casey? That's what we got to be thinking.
Well, this is what I kept saying at the beginning of the year. Using the 60-day IL to create depth in your system by being able to add new guys to your 26-man roster via that route, that's great until you got to pay the piper. And those 60-day ILs come off the IL. Then when those 60-day ILs come off the IL, now what do? You've got to start sending guys like, DFAing Ricky Vanasco and guys like that. But, James Paxton, that's one of the situations that happened because of the roster crunch. And so you're going to be adding Clayton Kershaw here before too long. What are you going to do about that? There's going to be another move. So the Clayton Kershaw deal, you would think, since they added a position player, cut a pitcher, you would have to think that adding a pitcher, they're going to have to cut a position player. So if I'm Kevin Biggio tonight, I'm sweating bullets as far as that goes, because they can't cut two pitchers 2 days in a row, you wouldn't think, although they would be adding one tomorrow. But to balance it out, you would think tomorrow's move corresponding would be a position player. But one thing that I've learned, and I was talking to a scout last night at the Oklahoma City game, and he said, hey, man, one thing you learn about Andrew Friedman is he always pulls a rabbit out of his hat, and it's one that nobody ever knows is coming, and it always makes sense.
Yeah, this is what we've kind of been talking about. It's, everybody wants, what do you think, Coach B, or what do you think, Casey? You can't predict what they're going to do. They have been so good at keeping things under their vest or making moves that no one thought of. That's what makes it kind of unique to be a Dodger fan. We have all these great ideas, but you're right. If I'm Biggio, I'm a little nervous tonight. And they might have already even let him know. I don't think you get rid of Ahmed, right? Because Rojas is on the IL. You're not doing anything with Kike. Lux is starting to hit. I mean, Vargas. What are they going to do with Vargas? I mean, he seems to be dodging all the bullets and staying up with the big club.
Yeah.
So Biggio to me is the move. I don't know what other move they've got to make.
Yeah. The problem is you don't want to DFA a guy like Miguel Vargas because then you're going to lose him. I mean, so you may send him down. And then you may say, Coach, I think we're actually having internet problems at this point. So we might need to, can you hear me? Going to be back in just a second, folks. We got our video coming back up here in a minute. I appreciate you guys hanging on. We're going to add Coach Barikoff here in a second, and then we're going to get after it, and we're going to answer all your questions and talk some Dodgers baseball. So I appreciate you hanging in. Stand by while we can get Coach Barikoff back on the show. Okay, we are back. I'm not exactly sure what happened, so I certainly apologize for that. So if you guys hung on, which it looked like a great crowd did, I really, really, really appreciate that. So thank you so much. And hey, let's go ahead and get to our chat, Coach, so in case that happens again, we can at least get to our wonderful crowd. Good evening, Orlando. Good evening to yourself. Hello, Casey Porter and Dodgers friends. It's been a great week of baseball. Our guys are getting healthy, and bottom of the lineup starting to produce. Let's top it off with an impact trade. Great first comment to read of the night from Orlando, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are – we won 5 straight? I mean, it's like the All-Star break is here. You know, you want to say maybe they just were waiting for the All-Star break, and we're just going to cruise mode into the All-Star break, and now that it's over, it's time to really get down to business. I don't know. I don't know how this works, but they look good. They're winning in a lot of different ways, and it's fun to see. I mean, we're starting to pull away and get a little, separation right now, and I love just seeing the Giants get knocked completely out of it. That's awesome.
No doubt about that. I think the scoreboard watching has to do with Milwaukee at this point, and that wild card, as far as I think you want to stay ahead of them and not have to play that best of 3 wild card round. Mike Boyer, good evening. What's the hot rumor of the hour? The hot rumor is that Nick Ahmed has been signed. He is on the 26-man roster. Ricky Vanasco has been DFA'd, and Nick Ahmed, the 2-time Gold Glove winner, is in the lineup tonight. Interesting. We've talked about that just a minute ago. Anything else you wanted to add?
Well, it's you got Trey Sweeney and Lipicus down in right here in Oklahoma City, and that's
Hosey.
Yeah, and it's I don't know if we're looking past those guys or we just want a known, proven commodity, right? That has won a Gold Glove or 2 Gold Gloves, that is going to be really good defensively. And I don't think they're looking for it anything hitting wise. I mean, he's batting 9th tonight. I think it's just to stabilize the middle infield. That's got to be my guess.
Yeah, and he plays, shortstop's his main position. I think he probably could play different positions as well and be versatile. But again, that's the situation that if he's a good defender, then that moves Mookie Betts possibly to second base, and that gives you that scenario as well. And it gives you options to at least be able to think that way. And it gives, just backup plans to backup plans. So I think it's a good idea probably to get a shortstop in the system at this point. Yeah, I would say that it probably is a little bit disappointing that it's not coming from in-house, but I would also say that we've said it, we love Trey Sweeney, we think he's great, but it doesn't surprise us that the organization doesn't see that he's ready yet.
Yeah, and that's what I thought when I saw this. My instant thought was they just don't think those guys are the guys to bring up right now.
Yeah.
And I got to trust their judgment. Just because you and I watch them all the time and we've grown to really like those guys, that doesn't mean that's the good business move. And I think the business move was to get a 2-time Gold Glove winner in Ahmed and put him there in the middle of the infield and be a steady guy next to Lux, I think.
Absolutely. Dodgers Nuts, thank you so much for joining. Yes, they did side Nick Ahmed. Gregory, good evening. Thank you so much for joining. Shiva, does this mean Rojas is seriously hurt? It doesn't mean that he's seriously hurt, but it means that the Dodgers realize that he can't be your everyday shortstop, and it also means that this alleviates stress off of Mookie Betts, and it gives them a backup plan to a backup plan, which we know, Coach, the Dodgers don't just like having plan B, they like having plans B through Z too. So with the lack of depth in the infield, you could just feel the anxiety of, man, we're way too thin in this situation. Now, I really thought they could lean on Kike Hernandez and Chris Taylor. Those are the two aspects of it that are surprising to me, is that they didn't lead harder on Kike Hernandez. That hasn't been consistent offensively, but when he has hit, he's done damage.
Yeah, I mean, Kike's hitting 198 right now. And I think everybody knows that I'm the biggest Kike fan, and maybe
But is Ahmed going to hit either? Right?
Yeah, but do you trust Ahmed more than Kike in the middle of the infield? I guess that's the debate, because they said it on, I think it was while I was driving home listening on the radio, Kike always comes through later in the season in the playoff. He gets amped up and juiced up for that, and it's such an interesting move. I mean, you're right, Kike, Taylor. We're talking about if Betts comes back and moving to second, but what do we do if Luxy keeps hitting like he's hitting? Yeah. He was just the National League Player of the Week. Yeah. And, people seem to want to forget a couple of years ago, he was the minor league baseball player of the year. Yep. Not just the Dodgers organization, but the entire minor league system. And it creates maybe a good issue, a good problem to have if Lux continues to hit.
Yeah, healthy competition within coaches that are able to create competitions between their players within the system that are healthy. Those are always the best teams, the most competitive teams. You do it every night, every day in practice when you go 5-on-5. What you're trying to do is create competitions within your players within the system, because then they push each other.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, again, Nick Ahmed coming in, batting 9th, I'm going to be his biggest fan tonight. And I hope all Dodger fans are. And I hope we don't look at him and say, why did we do this? I'm not going to question it. I mean, I think we are I'm going to be his biggest supporter tonight. I hope he looks great and hits and does everything we want from him. But I think healthy competition is good. And I think that's kind of what's got Lux going. He's seeing Taylor and Kike starting to get a little bit more playing time, and maybe that's kicking him into gear here. And he did say recently, I saw he did a thing this morning in a podcast, and he said, it's taken a while, but he's feeling good. He's swinging free and easy now, and then that's good to hear. Like if Lexi's going to hit, that's another weapon to add to the lineup.
It absolutely is. Good evening, Craig. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, player, thank you so much for joining Dodgers Dogs tonight. Hey, here's the thing that I will say. Ahmed, 2-time Gold Glove winner. You need depth at the shortstop position. You definitely need defense at the shortstop position. I mean, that's exactly why you had Miguel Rojas. You didn't care if he hit at all. He was a backup to the Gavin Lux and Mookie Betts plan to put a plus defender, a top 5 defender at shortstop. So that makes total sense to me. The only part of this whole deal is that you also keep Kike, you also keep Chris Taylor, and you also keep Kevin Biggio. That's really the only part of this type of move that I think Dodgers fans should really be scratching their heads about.
Yeah, the Biggio thing is like, are we going to see him not on this roster tomorrow? That's the big thing that I want to pay attention to. Is Biggio the guy? Is he the odd man out of this deal? Because it doesn't make sense. There's just too many now utility guys, and it almost
that
makes
can't hit.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, we all know how much I love Kike and CT3, but like Biggio's right there with him. But I think Biggio's the odd man out of here. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what happens in the morning. Not for Biggio's sake, but just as a fan, I'm looking forward to see what the move is.
To be honest with you, I mean, it is what it is. It's a business. He made a business decision when he came to the Dodgers. There's zero attachment. So as long as the Dodgers feel like he can help the club that I love the most, I'm a Kevin Biggio fan. As soon as they think that, hey, you know what, it's a business, we think somebody else is better to help the team that I love, then – hey, you were a major leaguer, brother. I mean, you got paid a lot. Appreciate your time. Let's move on to the next guy. I'm going to root for the next guy. Maybe that's too cold-blooded for me, but that's going to be exactly how I view that situation.
Yeah, and this is a discussion you and I got into last night sitting up there. Yeah. Baseball, as we look at it, we are fans of these guys, and we grow attached to these guys. But at the end of the day, I don't want to use this word. We talked about it last night. We both kind of cringed when I said it. These are assets. These are business. Yes, they are real human beings, and we love them, but they are assets. And if he needs to be moved, he's going to be moved, and there's no attachment to Kevin Biggio for me. So
some of that asset aspect might be a little bit different for guys like a Gavin Lux who grew up in your system, and you're very, like even like the front office, they're humans, Coach. I mean, you need to view these guys as assets like you're talking about, but man, when they come up to the system, I mean, you get attached to them. So there may be less asset thinking for guys like Gavin Lux or Kike Hernandez, who's come through for you in the past, Chris Taylor, somebody like that. But I promise you a guy like Kevin Biggio is 1,000%, and I don't mean this negatively anyways, I mean it from a business perspective. He is viewed 1,000% as an asset or not an asset to the organization. If he's an asset, great, throw him out there. If he's no longer an asset, move on from him.
Yeah, and I think that's where Dodger fans are so unique. Some Dodger fans just follow the big club, and that's who we are, and those are my guys, and I don't know what's going on down below. But for us that follow single A, Arizona Complex, double A, triple A, like you grow attached to these guys, and you're right. I mean, like if Gavin Lux or Miguel Vargas or Pages ever left, it's like I cannot, like that's a tough blow to me to see them go because I follow them, and But you're right. Biggio is like, if he's got to go, he's got to go. If he stays, he stays, and we'll be his fan. But you're right. I mean, you hit the nail on the head on that stuff right there.
This is a funny comment for Orlando. Biggio's still here just in case I need a bunt tonight, Coach. He says, going to try and milk him for one more bunt.
I like that. Yeah.
That's a great comment. Orlando bringing the A game tonight, Coach.
I love that.
Yeah,
good job, man.
Yeah, Aaron, I apologize for the silence. My Google Chrome crashed. I don't know what the deal is. I'll have to check into that. Make sure and restart my computer before I ever go live again. So, hey, Coach has gone rogue. Yeah, no doubt. Jeopardy music, we're getting all those because that time where we left off, I'm sure our crowd was like, what in the hell just happened on Dodgers Dogs? Hey, they can deal with all the dogs barking, but they can't deal with the silence, right?
Yeah, it gave me a time to not, put down a little bit of a Corona, so that was good. It was good.
Hey, nice.
Ready for the game today.
We finally found something that can get me to shut up, and that is a crash of Google Chrome.
Love it.
Hey, by the way, I had a chance to interview Bruce Gratterall today. Had a chance to talk to Michael Grove and James Albin. Also interviewed Sauer Lau and Ryan Ward. Tomorrow I got interviews with Bobby Miller and Michael Grove. And then Friday I got Jesse Hahn, JP Fireisen, Hunter Fiducia. And then Saturday, I'd have to look at my schedule, but I mean, it's like 8 or 9 or 10 of them, and it's all really cool. Like Brusdar Graterol, by the way, what an awesome young man out of Venezuela. I was so excited, Coach, because those names of cities that they're from in those international places like Venezuela or the DR, the way that we read them, they kind of laugh. They're like, yeah, no, that's not how you say that. So I was like, okay, Brusdar, am I saying this right? He goes, yeah, man, you got it right. So I was like, yeah, I got your hometown right. We're going to have a good interview here, man.
I am so jealous that you got to interview Brusdar, the Bazooka, Bobby Miller. I mean, no, that's why Dodgers Day. That's why we're the best, man. This is why we're the best. You get those interviews. I know last night you were talking to me about Bobby Miller, and you got the guy. You're going to interview Bobby Miller. Let's go.
That's the plans for tomorrow. We'll see if he completely forgets, and hopefully I get a chance to make eye contact with him again or whatever. But as of right now, those are absolutely plans. And by the way, the Bazooka, Brusdar Graterol, I did ask him. He said that he's got to throw back-to-back again. So that's exactly what they do with these guys. They throw them on back-to-back nights. They see how their arm feels on that second night. We saw that with Joe Kelly. And then after they do that a couple of times, then after that last back-to-back he threw last night, I think he's going to throw again tonight. Then if the arm comes through good, then that's whenever they bring him up. He said he is really close to being ready to joining the big club. And I asked him about the 97, the velo, where do you think everything's at right now? And he point blank said, really my only goal is to cruise it in there and stay healthy and throw strikes. And that's something he did last night in like a 9-pitch inning.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, watching him and doing the pitch clock last night, that's what the ball is just effortless getting up there, and you could tell he was cruising. And I think I'm glad you said that, because I couldn't figure out the right verbiage to use. But he looked really at ease putting 97.5 up there, and it didn't look difficult at all.
So he didn't have a pitch clock on him, though, did he?
Yeah.
Did he work fast, or was he at a major league pace?
Yes, he worked fast.
Okay.
He never was close to anything. He worked very fast. I mean, he got through what he needed to get through. No, he was fast.
Yeah, so I asked, hey, there's one of my Dodgers dogs right here. There you go. These are the ones that you always hear, and I don't stop them because they're spoiled as can possibly be. Hey, I asked him about that. Hey, guys. Hey, Vivi, come on up. Coming up, so you might stop barking here. All right, there she goes. Okay, so I asked him about that celebration he does after each inning, and it's really cool because, not cool, but I mean, it's I like listening to why he does it, and then obviously he's very strong in his faith, and his brother passed away, and so he's pointing up to his brother, and that, I mean, man, that was like, whoa, that was very, very strong emotionally whenever he was telling that, and that's all going to come out in the interview tomorrow.
That's awesome, man. It's always good to hear like these guys that you really like that become like these really good dudes, and everybody pulls for the Bazooka. And just think when he gets back to our into our bullpen, man, it's going to be awesome. He's such a fun guy to watch. So I'm pumped to hear that interview.
Hey, Gregory says that Will Smith is such a class act. So glad he's a Dodger. I could not agree more. Will Smith, I mean, it's almost like he's such a great dude. It's almost like he's a robot. I mean, it's amazing how good of a dude he is.
He's never too high, never too low. He's always even keel, and he's your perfect. I mean, for us Dodger fans in the 80s, he kind of has that demeanor of like Steve Garvey. I don't want to compare him to Steve Garvey, but like they're never high, never too low. They're always just right there, and you got to love that with Will Smith, man. And it's like when he does show that emotion, it's like, yeah, attaboy Will. Like, yeah, we're so lucky to have him as our catcher.
I think the current guy that I would compare him to from an emotional perspective would be Gavin Stone. Just absolutely nothing phases them. So Mike Boyer says the Dodgers now have 5 utility players. And, I mean, I know the Dodgers, they love versatility, but 5 utility players, that's crazy, Coach. I mean, that's not going to last. That's just absolutely not going to last.
Yeah, something's up, right? I mean, if everybody else is thinking it, we're thinking it. Something's up, and I just don't know what it is. I don't see they're not going to trade Kike or CT3, right? So what's the move? That's what's going to be interesting. I don't know what that move is going to be.
Yeah, I think we do, but we don't want to jump ahead, and we don't want to make it sound like it would be throwing shade on any one individual, and then we can cover it when it actually does, because there's going to have to be a corresponding move, and I can't see it not being a position player, because I'm going to say it one more time. Today you added a pitcher, and then you added a position player, and then cut a pitcher. So if you're going to add a pitcher tomorrow, then that stands to reason. If you're going to keep things balanced, you're going to have to cut a position player, and you have 5 utility players. Connect the dots. And then we'll wait and see what happens in the morning. Cole says, and we've talked about this, and I'll give you the one word of this to me that makes that has the most amount of importance of what I'm getting ready to say. Cole's comment: signing Ahmed and not playing your current guys says a lot about what they think about our current shortstop options. So current's the big word here because they love Trey Sweeney, but I just don't think they feel like he is ready to take over the shortstop position on a team with Shohei Ohtani on it that's going to have that much pressure attached to it. Not right now.
Yeah, and you and I luckily get to see these guys every day. Trey Sweeney's not ready to be up with the Dodgers at this moment and playing at Chavez Ravine. I mean, I think that's just the bottom line of this whole thing. I don't think it's any knock on Kike or CT3. I just don't. I just think you could get a guy, 2-time Gold Glove winner, to replace Rojas on this 10-day stint. That's the only way I'm looking at it. I'm not smart enough to figure out this entire move and what's the next move and the next move after that. 2-time Gold Glove winner for 10 days. That's where I'm going to look at this thing for.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, Coach. That's probably exactly how the Dodgers are looking. I mean, guys like me, we spend all this time overanalyzing things and chewing on things and doing this, and probably they're laughing at all of us going, it's not that complicated. I mean, it's as simple as we need a guy for like 4 days. Sorry, guys. It's not, just like you kind of put it right there. Hey, Major Chip Hazard, that's not a name that I recognize. I want to thank you for tuning in to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. We do this every Monday night. Austin does it on Monday night. Sometimes Coach joins Austin when he's not chasing the AAU circuit or his own basketball circuit. We do this on Wednesday nights. I've been able to catch up with Coach Barakoff most times on Wednesdays. Friday nights, sometimes Saturday mornings, depending on what we got going on. And that's like the last thing on our list. So, like, if we have absolutely nothing going on in our lives, we're going to throw together a live show for Saturday morning. But I mean, like, if I got to go to the farm or something, we're not doing a live show. So sometime Saturday morning, and then every Sunday night that the Dodgers aren't on Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah,
that's our schedule for our live shows. So Major Chip Hazard, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you tune in to all of our shows in the future. Major Chip Hazard said it's looking like Randy Arozarena is going to be a Dodger by next Thursday, Coach.
Yeah, I keep seeing a lot of this stuff. Now, I will say the only thing that I have heard last night, and you can confirm this, is no one really knows anything at this moment, and no one is really saying anything. So unless that is a absolutely viable, great source, I'm going to wait and see and hold back on that. I think, I think he's a great fit for LA. He fits out there. I think the outfield fans would love him, but I don't think you can confirm that stuff at this moment. I think there's too many things that have to happen to get that guy. I like the idea that he's saying with that, but I need some concrete evidence on that, first of all.
Yeah. David Razor says, does Outman figure in any trade deals? I would say no, and that's because James Outman has options. And I think James Outman is a guy that the Dodgers want to continue to evaluate. So if you win a World Series this year, Coach, that takes off a ton of pressure. I mean, I think that allows you to kind of be able to be a little bit more big picture as you move on, because that first one is huge. So I think if you win a World Series this year, that would allow the club a little bit more of a window to allow James Outman to become the 4-WAR player that he was last year. So I don't think in any way, shape, or form. I watched James Outman take BP today. In Oklahoma City, I watched every swing in his BP. Wow. I mean, if you watch that dude take BP at 5 o'clock, now I get it. That's off a pitching machine or off of a 60-year-old man throwing it 40 miles an hour. I understand all that. There are 5 o'clock hitters all over the place that can't hit at 7 o'clock. I totally understand that part of it. But what I am saying is when you look at that physique and that body and that athletic ability, the 4-WAR that he was last year, the plus defense that he's going to play even right now, and then the offensive upside and potential that he has, and then if you're a pro scout and you go watch him take the BP round that I saw today, you ain't trading that dude. Now, they might, but I think right now would be a situation where you'd be trading really low on Outman for a guy with a really high ceiling. So I don't think this is the time to trade Outman.
I don't see Outman I don't know. I don't see Outman being traded. I don't see him being part of a package. But I could be way wrong. Like all these names that are being brought up, I don't know. Like we don't know. Like that could very well be the move that we bring in the guy. I don't know. I just don't see Outman going. I like what he brings. Dodgers have been drafting lately all these athletic guys. Outman fits that. Everybody's using Outman as the example of we draft these athletic guys like Outman. I think there's too much upside with Outman at this point, and he showed what he can do. And I think people don't sometimes forget that it's hard going up to LA, playing 4 games, going back down to Oklahoma City, playing 10 games, going back up. I think people lose sight of that sometimes. That's not an easy thing to do. And I'd love to see Outman be stable up at the big club, but I don't see Outman going. I'm with you, Casey.
Major Chip Hazard makes a great point. These are grown men. They respect you when you're up front with them. That is 100% a fact.
Yeah, it's like with anything. I mean, I'm a college basketball coach. My guys like when I'm pretty honest with them. I think that's the same thing with Major League Baseball players. And I think there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than we realize. I don't think they're just all of a sudden being said, you're going back down or you're being released. I think they know. I think they know more than we even think. So, yeah, they are grown men, and you're right. It's a business.
I will say, though, that I think some people underrate how difficult it is, like Travis Barbery, the AAA manager, the amount of ego that he has to actually deal with at all levels, at the professional level. So, yes, you have to be up front with them, but you do have to have a game plan as to how you do approach these guys, because you're dealing with guys that have never failed in their life. You're dealing with guys that, hey, man, I could have one conversation that sets me for life making millions of dollars. I could have the opposite conversation that I'm getting ready to go be a high school baseball coach next fall. I mean, that's literally how high stakes a lot of these conversations are. So, yes, being up front is obviously the best way to go, but there is some creativity in the way that you have to deal with the difficult situations with these guys.
Yeah, to be a AAA manager, I think, has got to be one of the most difficult things, because you're in constant flux and there's constant movement going on and different personalities and different feelings of being, wow, I'm let down, I'm getting called back up, the excitement of that, and then getting sent back down. You've got a lot of egos to manage. There's a lot of money riding on for these guys, and they're at that point now where it's like make or break for some of these guys. Some of these guys are at the tail end trying to figure out what they're going to do. So you're right. I mean, being a AAA manager has got to be very difficult. There's all different types of things you're trying to control and manage. And yeah, that's tough. That's very tough to do.
It absolutely is. That's one thing I really like about the Dodgers. And Eddie Daves, my best friend, he played for the Rangers, he played for the Cardinals, and he played for the Mariners. And he said that, of course, the Cardinals in the 70s and 80s remind me of the Dodgers now in the terms of the way that they built their culture, the type of people you had to be, the way that they treated you. There were 2 phrases that you could not use in the Cardinal system in the 70s and 80s. You couldn't say, come on, and you couldn't say, let's go, because they felt like you couldn't finish a sentence with either one of those, because they felt like those were negative connotations. And then starting from the time that you got brought into the organization, you were called by your first name because everybody was an equal to the Cardinals. That's literally exactly how the Dodgers treat this situation. So I'll say this. I say that to say this. I think in the Dodgers organization, there is a better situation because the guys come in like an Alan Trejo. They come in to maximize their potential and maximize their value, and then they hope, well, if I don't make the Dodgers club or whatever, if I get a cup of coffee, I get DFA'd, now I get traded. I just created a major league career, a second major league career for myself by being a Dodger. So the conversations are easier in the Dodger system because you're able to tell them, hey, if we DFA you, like Nabil Creasemont's the perfect example. Hey, Nabil, you came to the Dodgers, you used our system to reinvent yourself. We're going to DFA you, and then you're going to get picked up by a major league team. He got picked up by the Padres.
Yeah, you make some great points. I think that's why our system is so special. You can tell by the way the players act. You can tell by who we draft. And again, that's like in these trade talks. I think we talked about it last night. You're just not going to bring somebody in that doesn't fit with that clubhouse. Yeah. And I think it's great to talk about some of these guys, but if they don't fit, I just don't see the Dodgers doing it. I think it's got to all be about the fit and what they have molded this program or this organization to be.
Alex Verdugo is a perfect example of that. I promise you, just trust me on that. I know that. So we'll move on from that. But, hey, Major Chip Hazard, if the offense can put up some runs, we should be able to win the series. I don't know about a sweep. Kersh will probably go about 3 to 4 innings tomorrow. First of all, what are you expecting from Glass now? Is it going to be like he never missed? Do you expect him to baby him a little bit, maybe limit some of his pitch count? Or do you expect him to let him off the leash and say, hey, this was just kind of precautionary? So first of all, what do you expect out of Glass now tonight and Kershaw tomorrow?
No, I'm not expecting the world. I think they're going to be watched pretty heavily by our pitching staff. Kershaw is the one, let's not go too crazy on, we're not going to see Kershaw of old, I don't think. I would love to, don't get me wrong, but I think it's going to take him some time. But I think they're going to be very careful with Glasnow and Kershaw. I don't think they're going to rush them. We can't at this point. We've got to look bigger picture here. We got to look September, October, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I would totally agree. Hey, Coach, we have a awesome crowd. I mean, I tell you, every time you join this show, the crowd just jumps. We're getting ready to approach 200 in the lobby. So how about that? That is just absolutely fantastic. Daryl Jackson's not so impressed with the latest move. He says they need to stop picking up players who have been released by other teams. Sooner or later, they're going to have to give the kids places on the team. Coach, we're building a culture at Dodgers Daily that is creating a mindset that the Dodgers need to trust these players. They have the best development. They have the best scouting. These players, Justin Robleski is great. River Ryan is great. You're getting ready to see Ben Kasparius. He's great. They went and scouted and found Jesse Hunt. Go watch him pitch. That dude's really good. JP Fireeisen, although he's only 91 or 92, he has a really nice slider. And Jack Little and all these guys, Jack Dreyer. These guys are really good. I love it that we're building a culture at Dodgers Daily that Dodgers fans are wanting to see the prospects in the organization versus the meddling veteran that we know that this front office loves to go get. And that's just really exciting to me because when you look at what River Ryan, Gavin Stone, Landon Knack, and Justin Robleski have done, ERA of 3.18, Coach. They're, I think, 16-4 is what I said this morning with the record on the year. They have come through. They've been asked to come through. They've done it. So the Dodgers should trust them.
Dodgers Daily is a safe place for us fans that want to see our system move up because
yes, correct.
I have talked about this. Dodger fans, there are two Dodger fans. There are the Dodger fans that only want to watch the big team.
Yeah.
And and what they say is we got to bring up this young rookie superstar. When he comes up and he doesn't produce, you throw him back down. I'm on the other hand, I want to see these guys come up, give them a chance. I love seeing all these pictures. You're talking about Jack Little. I love the way he pitched last night. Honeywell last night for the Dodgers looked really good. He got DFA'd from the Pirates. Dodgers grabbed him, and I thought he was outstanding last night.
By the way, talking about the Pirates, I also talked to Jose Hernandez. I don't know if you remember, but the Dodgers lost him in the Rule 5 a couple of years ago. And all I can tell you is he wasn't overly impressed with the developmental system in the Pirates organization, and he is so excited to be back with the Dodgers. Also going to interview him hopefully tomorrow. He was reaching 99 in the Dodgers organization. I think when he left the Pirates, he was reaching 93. That's how good, of course, I think a lot of, at this point, Kyle Hurt, we got the news today, he's going to have to have Tommy John surgery. So I think when I say, the maxing on the velo, I think a lot of Dodgers fans just went, oh, another Tommy John surgery around the corner, and that is correct. But, it's a situation to where the developmental system is very good. Now, as far as the Ahmed move, is this a Band-Aid or is this permanent? What do you think? Is he here to stay?
I want to say it's a Band-Aid move. That's just what I'm going to say. Until proven otherwise, it's a Band-Aid move. I could see him being gone in 10 days. That's just my gut feeling on this. And I probably am wrong, but that's my gut feeling. I think it's Band-Aid all the way.
The Chicken Wrangler, thank you so much for joining. I don't recognize my Dodgers dogs are having a heck of a good time in the background. They're having a good time over there in the living room. So the Chicken Wrangler, I don't recognize that name either. We've got some new names tonight. Thank you so much for joining tonight. And I bet Rojas is gone until the end of September to save him for the playoffs. Steven Lopez, there's another one. Hey, love talking about the Dodgers want Randy, no doubt. Hey, macking it daily. Casey, you're a smart guy. Thank you so much. I think that's the first time. Hey, my wife's right over here. Can you make that comment to her? That's the one that my beautiful wife, a bride of 25 years, she's the one you need to be telling that to, right, Coach? I kid. Roy Estrada, you win a World Series this year. Subsequent World Series are easier. That is 1,000% correct. I told the story on D-Mac's show yesterday. Gary Ward, who built a dynasty at Oklahoma State in the 80s and early to mid-90s, went to the College World Series 7 years in a row, had Jeremy Brunitz, had Pete Incaviglia, who was the 1900s Century Player of the Year. Also had Robin Ventura. So he had the Babe Ruth and the Joe DiMaggio of college baseball. Never won a College World Series, not one. You know why he didn't win one? Because he never won that first one. And he'll tell you, if he could have just got that first one under his belt, he might have won 8 or 9.
Yeah, I mean we could mask and say all these great things, but we've got to win a World Series. I mean, that's just the bottom line. We've spent enough money. We've got the superstars. Dodger fans are right. We win this one, I think we'll see a bunch come, and I think it'll all relax a little bit because I think you're right. We are all high anxiety right now over this thing, and we're all a little gun shy of the playoffs because we've been so disappointed. And it's easy to watch a regular season baseball game, but the second we get into the playoffs, I'm touching all my bobbleheads and waving the hat around, and it's like I don't want to feel that way anymore. I want to feel like a comfortable – I don't want to have to not watch baseball anymore and the Dodgers get bounced out of there. I want to watch it all the way through. So, yeah, let's go. Let's get this World Series.
Want to remind you of our live schedule. We go every Sunday night at 5 o'clock Pacific. We go Monday night at 5 o'clock Pacific. So it's 5 o'clock Pacific on Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, sometimes on Saturday if I don't have some kind of trip to go fishing or golfing or something like that, or if Coach doesn't have an AAU tournament. Every Sunday night, there's not Sunday night baseball. That is at 5 o'clock Pacific, so that is our schedule. Hey, Craig Osterberg, thank you again so much for joining. Gardner Russell, thank you so much for joining our live chat tonight. Dan Inspiration, what the heck is going on with Max Muncy? Dude's been out for like almost 3 months because of an oblique due to stealing money. I'll tell you this, Dan, Ryan Pepio had one of these. I've been around these before. They are just so tricky. They're so unscientific. You think that's almost like, I was talking to an OSU player, Aiden Miola, who had hamstring injuries this year. And it's just tricky because it tricks you because you're like, okay, I think I'm good. And then you swing and then you're like, oh, crap, I'm not. And then next thing you know, you actually hurt it again. So it's just that, man. And then you're just antsy. You want to get back in there. So obliques are they're very unscientific and they're very tough to come back from. Fully to come back from, because again, if Max Muncy is not fully recovered from that oblique, the way that he violently swings that bat, he's injuring it right back again, I would have to think.
Yeah, Max Muncy's a gamer. I mean, that dude lives to play and lives for the moment. And it's like for him to be sitting there, like, you got to trust what the Dodgers are doing with him, and you got to trust what Muncy. If Muncy's ready, he's going to be ready. But I think they've got a plan in place. We don't know that plan. I hope we see him in a month. Right? Let's see him in a month, and hopefully we get him for the playoffs. It's not looking good at the moment, though.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Hey, what's the deal with the Paxton trade? I will look that up. I have not heard anything on the Jane. Have you heard anything on the James Paxton front, Coach?
No.
You might look that up while I'm reading some articles here. Do that for me, and we'll look that up again. It's been a really crazy day. I've been in Oklahoma City and doing all sorts of different things. So we will look that up and see if we can find an update on James Paxton. So, again, here's how this works. Whenever you're DFA'd, you have a 10-day window where teams can trade for you. At the end of that 10-day window, you enter a period of waivers. Then all the teams can bid on you at that point, and then the team with the worst record last year gets last say-so. So if the team with the worst record last year wants you, they will end up with you. If nobody picks you up, then you clear waivers. At that point, you get assigned back to the minor leagues. If you have enough major league service time, you can decline that assignment and become a free agent. So what a lot of people are thinking is going to happen with James Paxton is that he's going to end up being traded and the Dodgers are going to get something back for him in that first 10-day window.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing anything on James Paxton.
Yeah.
I have notifications on my phone that I would see something. So unless there's some news that have broke that's not showing on like X or Twitter, I don't see anything.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for that comment, Cable Throttle. Orlando, thank you so much for joining. Hey, you're a diehard Dodgers fan. Tell me what you think here. Honeywell wears that blue turtleneck. I think Gagne also wears that. Did that ever cross your mind, Coach?
You say Gagne. I thought Brett Butler. So, yeah, I mean, I hope he pitches like Gagne. Then we're really going to win a World Series if we can get that from him.
Can we get anything for Paxton in a trade, says Cable Throttle? I would think not, because in a trade scenario, that other organization has to take on the entire contract of James Paxton, which has a $1 million escalator coming up, not the next start, but the start after that. Now, if he reaches free agency, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure if he becomes a free agent after he clears waivers, then I think the Dodgers have to eat all of the contract deal, and then the team that picks him up just pays him the league minimum. So I think where the Dodgers would probably lose James Paxton would be in a free agency environment.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
That's all very good information, because when all that went down, you and I were texting back and forth.
Yeah.
And, like, this is just a strange deal. And then you kind of broke down, the $1 million contract here and the incentives there. So, yeah, I don't see anything about it. I would be surprised, me personally, if somebody grabbed him right now. I think he's going to remain maybe a Dodger, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing out there.
I think if you did get somebody for him, it may be, I mean, it wouldn't be like anybody on a top 100 prospects list, but it would be better than nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So, hey, Cole, thank you so much for joining. It's hard to win. Just ask the Buffalo Bills. No doubt about that. Oklahoma State was in that same way. Major chip hazard, oblique injuries are no bueno. No doubt about that. Greg Osterberg says Honeywell is a find. He has been, Coach. Honeywell's been good. I think the Dodgers originally got him so they could DFA him because of the roster crunch, and now you're like going, oh, dang, man, that screwball or whatever he's throwing, that's pretty dang nice, and he's pretty good. So he's actually adding, I think, a wrinkle to this whole thing.
Yeah, I was watching him last night, and I had to do a double take because I know the name, and I just didn't realize he was with us, and he looked great last night. And I was pleasantly surprised, and I looked him up this morning on Baseball Reference, and yeah, I mean, the Pirates got to let him go, and Dodgers, again, here's another reclamation project by the Dodgers, and they see something in these guys, and he looked really comfortable right there last night.
Coach, we got about 5 minutes left. No, I got less than that. We got about 2 minutes left. It always flies by whenever you're having fun. And I know you worked Oklahoma City last night. You're working them tomorrow. So busy time. We're right up against the trade deadline. Dodgers are playing great. What are your final thoughts?
Well, luckily, I'm done with coaching our AAU team, so I'm now back to my real job of college basketball at Oklahoma City. So I'm going to be
Y'all
able to
got a new AD the other day, right? Y'all got a new AD the other day, right?
We did, yeah, an intern, yeah. But I'm going to be able to be around more. I'm going to be able to get back into the swing of things here with the Dodgers. I still have not missed a game, radio or TV. So I'm excited. The pitch clock, I've got a lot more days coming up on that. It was good to get back in the saddle last night. But
those cookies were good, man. I couldn't stop eating those cookies.
Yeah, that's not a good thing for me either. But look, 5, we could win this series. I think my whole take has always been win the series. You don't have to get a sweep. Win the series. Win 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. You do that, you're going to win a World Series, and that's what I'm hoping for. So it's going to be exciting, man.
Coach, you did it again. You brought out the great crowd here to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. We have had just a tremendous crowd. Coach, I told you last night, and I meant it, you kill it every time you're on here. You're just an absolute gigantic addition to Dodgers Daily. I can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be a part of this wonderful community. So thank you so much for that. And to everybody else out there that took time in their night to talk Dodgers baseball with us here on Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Thank you to you as well. So until next time, thanks again, and go Dodgers.